The NASCAR Cup Series race officially has concluded from Kansas Speedway, and we see a lot of playoff drivers running into trouble, a lot of attrition, and Tyler Reddick getting the victory. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching NASCAR Cup Series race from Kansas Speedway, the Hollywood Casino 400. We had quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about it. So, before the green flag drop in today's race, Kyle Busch and Ty Gibbs would have to go to the rear. Kyle Busch had crashed in practice, and Ty Gibbs also had to go into the basically rear for a backup car, which would affect Kyle Busch early. So at the start of the race, you had Christopher Bell lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and Christopher Bell got a really strong start and was able to clear for the race lead. Then on lap 4, trouble would strike for Martin Truex Jr., who came into this playoffs as probably the favorite to win the championship. Unfortunately, not a great race happened at Darlington, and Martin Truex Jr. would have another really big trouble. Going into turn number 3, Martin Truex Jr. would lose a tire after there was a puncture on the right rear. He hit the outside wall and took himself out of contention. Like I said, Martin Truex Jr. was a favorite coming into the championship. Now Martin Truex Jr. is pretty much not in a must-win situation, but now I believe is below the cutoff line. Absolutely big shambles, and I know that people say hey, how these playoffs are flawed and stuff, but you know what? Martin Truex Jr.'s had two not-so-great races, unfortunately, and now Martin Truex Jr. will be going in to the final race where he's not been historically great at Bristol and is in trouble. So then under the caution, you had Ryan Preece, Harrison Burton, Ty Dillon, Kyle Busch, and J.J. Lee come down pit road. So then on the restart, Christopher Bell lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and Kyle Larson got a really strong restart and was able to clear for the race lead. We saw some really great racing for second position between Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell, and inevitably Bubba was able to pass Bell for second position, but Kyle Larson had a pretty big lead. Then we started seeing green flag pit stops. First, you had Joey Logano came in, then Brad Keselowski, Michael McDowell, Daniel Suarez came in. Then next lap, you had Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon come in. Then you had Christopher Bell, William Byron, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. come in the next lap. And then you have Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson come down pit road. After the cycle had basically gone through, Kyle Larson would be back in the race lead. But then, about 18 or 19 laps ago in stage number 1 and lap 6-2, trouble strike for Austin Dillon, who got into the outside wall and nearly spun out, dropped a bunch of debris. And then the next lap, William Byron would run, I think, into the debris to, avoid it, bringing out the caution, just got loose going off of turn number 2, lost it, luckily didn't get a ton of damage, but unfortunately, he would bring the caution out. So then, all lead lap cars would end up coming down pit road, with Kyle Larson winning the race off pit road. Christopher Bell would come off second. Justin Haley had a speeding penalty, and also Daniel Suarez had an uncontrolled tire. And then William Byron also had a pretty bad pit stop. And then Chris Buescher had to come back down pit road because he had a loose left front wheel and had to get that tightened back up. So then on the restart, Kyle Larson lead the field from the inside with Bubba Wallace on the outside, and Bubba Wallace tried everything to get around Kyle Larson, but Kyle Larson was able to clear for the race lead, was able to pull away. Bubba Wallace tried to catch Larson, but didn't have anything for him, and coming off the final corner, Kyle Larson would win stage number 1. Then all lead lap cars would come down pit road with Kyle Larson win the race off pit road. Christopher Bell had a pretty bad pit stop, so did Ryan Blaney. They both lost a ton of positions on pit road. So then on the restart, Kyle Larson lead the field from the inside with Bubba Wallace on the outside, and Kyle Larson got a really strong restart and was able to clear for the lead. Chase Elliott also got a great run and jumped up to second, but inevitably a few laps later, we saw Chase Elliott get passed right back by Bubba Wallace. And the race would continue on a couple times during this run. He had Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He got on the outside wall and tagged the wall. But then on lap 108, trouble would strike for another playoff contender. And unfortunately, it was one of the fastest cars in the race, and that was Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace unfortunately lost a right rear tire and would drop from second position to dropping many laps down and breaking the tolling. Absolute major playoff implications. Bubba Wallace was the only car at the time that really could keep up with Kyle Larson, and unfortunately, his chances of winning went up in smoke because of that. Tough race for Bubba Wallace. Just good you're having issues today. Haven't seen a lot of his issues throughout the year so far. Just a shame that Bubba Wallace got affected by it, because I think he certainly had a car capable of winning, and now his chances are completely over in this race. So then, we had basically go green back to green on lap 114. And Kyle Larson lead the field from the outside with Chase Elliott on the inside. And Tyler Reddick got a strong restart as well, but Kyle Larson barely held on to the lead. But then the next lap coming down the front stretch, Chase Elliott was able to get the race lead from Kyle Larson, and Tyler Reddick sent a 3-wide trying to get the lead. But during that time, trouble would strike down in turn number 1, where Austin spun in turn number 2 after contact from Michael McDowell. On the restart, there had been some contact between Kyle Busch, Michael McDowell, and Austin Cindric, and Michael McDowell was retaliating, returning the favor to Austin Cindric, and not appreciating it. So then, on the restart, next restart, you had Chase Elliott lead the field from the inside with Tyler Reddick on the outside, and we saw Chase Elliott get a really strong run and was able to clear for the lead. But then a few laps later, Chase Briscoe lost some power in his car from 14th position and dropped down. It took a few laps for him to throw the yellow, but basically he would throw the caution out because Chase Briscoe was stopped. And then somehow, out of nowhere, he basically got the car refired. A little interesting that he kind of did that. A little bit of coincidence? I think not. But at this point, there was a little bit of strategy. You had Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, Kyle Busch, and Alex Bowman stay out, while most other race leaders came down pit road. And then on the restart, Chase Elliott lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside. And Kyle Larson had a terrible restart, got dropped way back. And Chase Elliott had a great run. And Larson dropped only back to 20th position, but was starting to recover. And then for some reason, this never was mentioned on the broadcast, but AJ Allmendinger, who was running in 16th position, had to come back down pit road due to having an issue on the right rear, and then had to do a pass-through for too many men over the wall. And then we saw a really awesome battle near the end of Stage 2 between Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, and Kevin Harvick, and also, of course, Denny Hamlin was coming through. They were racing really hard up front. Brad Keselowski, though, inevitably was able to pass Chase Elliott and clear for the lead. Denny Hamlin tried to catch Chase Elliott and Brad Keselowski, but didn't have anything for them, and Brad Keselowski would come off the corner and win Stage 2. So then all lead lap cars would come down pit road with Brad Keselowski winning the race off of pit road. Chase Elliott dropped a couple positions on pit road, and also Todd Gilliland had a fire in the pits. And Ross Chastain, another playoff contender, would have some trouble with his car or pit crew over the wall too soon. So then on the restart, you have Brad Keselowski lead the field from the inside with Denny Hamlin on the outside, and Denny Hamlin battled really hard for the lead on the outside, but Brad Keselowski was able to hold on to the race lead. And then on lap 174, trouble strike for Harrison Burton, who got on the outside wall after Carson Osborne making his third career Cup Series start. Unfortunately, pitched Harrison Burton into the outside wall, and Harrison unfortunately had a flat tire, bringing the caution out. To me, that's unfortunately a mistake on Carson Hocevar. He's young, he's going to learn, but that was a mistake on Carson. It cost Harrison Burton a pretty solid day. So then we saw a little strategy under the caution where Kyle Larson, Michael McDowell, William Byron, Tyler Dillon, and Austin Cindric came down pit road while the rest leaders stayed out. So then we went back racing a lap 180 with Brad Keselowski leading the field from the inside with Denny Hamlin on the outside, and Brad Keselowski got a really strong restart and was able to clear for the race lead. Inevitably, though, Denny Hamlin got by Brad Keselowski, just had a better car than Keselowski, and passed him with around 80 laps to go, with Tyler Reddick getting up to second position. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson was moving way up through the field and was starting to run down. The leaders had gone up to 10th position, but then he tagged the outside wall with about 60 laps to go, was able to keep going. And then the final green flag pit stops of the race at the time would come out first with Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney coming down. Then the next lap you have Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, Ryan Preece, and Carson Hocevar come down. Then next lap you had Tyler Reddick, and I think also Kyle Larson came back down pit road again or something. He also Chase Elliott. Actually, Kyle Busch came down the first time. Denny Hamlin, he came down pit road. And after all the green flag pit stops took place at the time, Denny Hamlin was able to get back up the front and pass Daniel Suarez for the lead. So at this point, it's coming down between Denny Hamlin and Tyler Reddick for the win. Denny Hamlin had a better pit stop, but Reddick had come in earlier, and Reddick was trying to close in, and traffic was holding up. And it looked like Denny Hamlin was going to run away with the same. However, with 6 laps to go, another playoff driver would run into problems, and that would be Chris Buescher, who lost a tire from 12th position, who would go and, I think, barely hit the outside wall and brought the final caution out. Very similar to what happened over the weekend with guys like Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs, and Bubba Wallace. Another tire problem came into play. Reddick Buescher, though, unlike Bubba Wallace, was able to keep his car from having the toe link break and was, I believe, still able to stay on the lead lap. So then a lot of crews and teams had to make a decision. Are you going to come down pit road or are you going to stay out? Well, Daniel Suarez, because he paid it so much later, he would basically stay out while you would have Eric Jones win the race off pit road with him taking 2 tires. So did Kyle Busch and Joey Logano, who also took 2 tires. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott all took 4, and also Reddick did 2. But you had some contact coming off pit road between Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, and I think there was some angry drama. I'm not sure what really happened. I couldn't see it, unfortunately. It sounded like I think maybe Larson got into Chase Elliott. Unfortunate there. I don't know what they were doing, though. So then, Going to the final restart, Daniel Suarez lead the field from the inside with Erik Jones on the outside, and we had a really great restart where Joey Logano sent it to the bottom, 3 wide to the inside going into turn number 1. They were side by side going down the back straightaway, and Erik Jones had the advantage over Logano, but Tyler Reddick coming down to the white flag would send it 3 wide to the bottom and was able to clear both of them for the race lead. Denny Hamlin got up in second position and was trying so hard to run down Tyler Reddick. It would not be enough, though, and coming off the final corner, Tyler Reddick in the 45 car picks up his second victory of the 2023 season, his 5th career NASCAR Cup Series victory, and locks his way into the round of 12 of the playoffs. Tyler Reddick had one of the strongest cars in this race. Did he have the best car? No, but Tyler Reddick was in the right position, the right time. He capitalized on the late race restart and did what he had to do. And what's so cool about this is it continues the streak for 2311 Racing and the owner. This is now the 4th race in a row that either the team 2311 Racing has won or the car owner of 2311 Racing has won at Kansas Speedway. Tyler Reddick was in the right position, the right time, did what he had to do. He was likely going to finish second, but congratulations to Tyler Reddick. He capitalized. He's historically been great at Kansas. He was someone who I thought was going to have an opportunity to win. Ran up front all day and gets a well-deserved win for 2311 Racing. Huge congratulations to Tyler Reddick on picking up the victory. A well-deserved win, and also locks his spot up in the round of 12, pending post-race inspection. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at the race results, and I'll give you my score and thoughts on today's race. So Tyler Reddick finishes first. Denny Hamlin finished second. I think Denny Hamlin had one of the 2 strongest cars in this race. Not sure if he really had the strongest car because he did dominate a lot of this race, but he didn't end up leading the most laps. But Denny Hamlin, unfortunately, had a bad restart, was trying to, I think, hold off Kyle Larson, was laying back behind him, trying to get a run on Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin, though, just another race kind of where he probably should have won, and unfortunately, things did not go well at the end, but he still finished the second. Great day for Denny Hamlin. Erik Jones finished the third. A great day for Erik Jones. Erik Jones, legitimately, even though he did take 2 tires, he ran top 5 and top 10 all day long. I am really excited for next year for Erik Jones because we know how strong Toyota has been at this racetrack. I think Erik Jones could be a contender next year at this race. He's been stronger the second half of this year. Just another fantastic and great day for Erik Jones in 3rd place. Kyle Larson finished 4th. I think Kyle Larson for sure had the best car in the field. Unfortunately, that strategy call to restart on the outside lane and drop back on that restart about halfway through cost him this race. But still, a great comeback for Kyle Larson. This 5 team, they got to do a little better on some of the execution things, but if they can do that, they are going to be a championship threat. They already locked their way in the next round, of course, but great day for Kyle Larson in 4th. Joey Logano finished 5th, definitely gambled. Logano was nowhere near top 5 car. He was probably like a 13th to 14th place car, but he did take 2 tires and gambled and got a very solid finish in 5th place. Chase Elliott finished 6th. This is definitely Chase Elliott's best run at an oval so far this season. Chase Elliott ran top 5 in top 8 all day long and led almost 40 laps in this race. That 9 car was really, really strong. Just unfortunately couldn't keep up with the track near the end of the race, but still a very solid and great day for Chase Elliott. And if you're Chase Elliott fans, you got to feel confident going to next year with the speed that they showed today. Kyle Busch finished 7th. That's about how high Kyle Busch ran all day, but they gambled near the end. Unfortunately, they restarted behind Erik Jones. Maybe they could have sent it 3 wide and gotten the lead on the restart, but Kyle Busch, still a very solid day. I think he's about 25 or 26 points above the cutoff line now, which is solid, all things considered. Of course, they had to start at the rear of the field. They slowly, methodically moved their way up to the front and were able to finish 7th. Solid day for Kyle Busch in 7th place. Christopher Bell finished 8th. Unfortunately, they had a great car, but unfortunately, their car kind of fell off. And also, sadly, they basically had bad pit stops again like they had at Darlington. They still recovered to finish 8th. Solid day, all things considered. Brad Keselowski finished 9th. Unfortunately, kind of a bad pit stop near the end. They were on track to finish in the top 3 or top 4 in this race, but still Keselowski's in a really good position going to Bristol track where he ran really good last year. They had a really good car, led laps and won a stage, got a playoff point, which is huge, especially if they're able to advance out of the round of 16. Solid day for Brad Keselowski. And Alex Bowman gets a solid top 10 finish. How about that for Alex Bowman finishing in 10th place? Kevin Harvick finished 11th. Harvick finished about there, ran good early. I feel like the car faded on the long run. They were really bad on the long run, unfortunately, and cost themselves a great run. They still don't finish in the top 15. Ryan Blaney finished 12th. He ran a lot better than that all day. Unfortunately, it's a bad restart, cost him a great run. They finished 12th. Ross Chastain recovers a little bit to finish 13th. Chastain, of course, had to over the wall too soon. They were up front early, faded on the long run, and never able to recover to get back up to front. But still, they scored a lot of stage points, which really helped them. Ty Gibbs finished 14th, was on track to get a top 10. Unfortunately, lost a lot of spots. Here, William Byron finished 15th after spinning out on stage number 2. They just never were really, stage 1, I should say. They never were a factor in a contenders race, unfortunately, but they still are in a good position going into Bristol. They could have had a car capable of winning, but after the spin, they never had a chance. Daniel Suarez finished 16th, dropped all the way back 16th after the restart. Eric Almirola finished 17th. Ryan Preece gets a very solid top 20 finish and decent run for both the SHR drivers. And Chase Briscoe finished 19th. How about that? Stewart-Haas Racing getting all their cars in the top 20. And Carson Ospar, again, with another top 20 run. Carson Ospar, in 3 starts, had potential to get a top 15 in his first career start and has finished in the top 20 the last 2. This kid is absolutely ready for Cup. I know he made the mistake with Harrison Burton, but you know what? It is what it is. He ran top 20, top 25 all day long, and that's what you got to do with your car. Justin Haley finished 21st. Corey LaJoie finished 22nd. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished 23rd. Kind of a disappointing day, especially when it comes to the playoffs. Cole Custer got a top 25 with 24th. Solid run for him. Todd Gillen finished 25th. Michael McDowell finished 26th. After the contact with Cindric spinning him out, they got a ton of damage and never were the same after that. They struggled throughout the weekend. Chris Buescher, after his issues, he finished 27th. Tough break for that 17 team. They were going to finish top 15, but of course he had the tire issues. Ty Dillon finished 28th. Sheldon Creed in his debut finished 29th. Decent run for the rookie. AJ Allmendinger finished in 30th. Austin Cindric finished 31st. Bubba Wallace finished 32nd. Again, feel terrible for Bubba Wallace. He had a car that was absolutely capable of winning this race. They were going to be up there with guys like Larson, Reddick, and Hamlin, but unfortunately, just the tire issue cost them a shot at the win. And now they're below the cutoff line, unfortunately, going into the final race at Bristol. Really big, tough break for them. They, of course, will now have to go into Bristol looking for a win at this point. Austin Dillon finished 33rd. J.J. Yeley finished 34th. Harrison Burton finished 35th. And finishing last in 36th place is Martin Truex Jr. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the point standings after the second race of the round of 16. So after the second round of the round of 16, let's take a look at the results. So Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick are both, of course, locked in with their wins. Denny Hamlin is 49 points above. William Byron's 41 points above. Brad Keselowski's 33 above. Ryan Blaney's 25 above. Kyle Busch is 24 above. Ross Chastain is 18 points above. Chris Buescher is 13 above. Christopher Bell's 13 above. Also, Joe Logano is 12 above. And Kevin Harvick 7 above. Mark Truex Jr., who was a favorite coming this championship, is now 7 below. Bubba Wallace is 19 below. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is 22 below and 15th. And Michael McDowell's last 16th, 40 below. At this point, Mark Truex Jr. is the only one that can get in based off of points. I think Bubba has to win. I think Stenhouse has to win. And also McDowell has to win. I think if you're above 20 points, you're in good shape. Kyle Busch, I think, is in pretty solid shape. Blaney, I think, is 2. I think Denny Hamlin just has to almost start at this point. A lot of these drivers are in good position going into the final race of the round of 16. So now, let's talk about the overall race as a whole, and I'll give you my score and thoughts on today's race. Honestly, I thought this race was pretty good. It wasn't as good as the spring race, I will say. I still think that was the best race of 2023. The spring race was, but this race definitely did not disappoint. Sure, the beginning got a little bit spread out, but the spring race kind of did that as well. But stage 2, there was a lot of side-by-side racing up front, a lot of great racing throughout the field. You saw a lot of comers and goers throughout the field. And then you had a really awesome and great finish to the end of this race. I am going to give today's NASCAR Cup Series race at Kansas overall a 9 out of 10. Pretty solid race in my opinion. I absolutely enjoyed it. It was about where the truck race was. I thought truck race is really good too. But I think this race definitely lived up. Wasn't good as the spring race, but I thought this race was pretty good, all things considered. So, that is going to be today's NASCAR Cup Series race view from Kansas Speedway. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's race. What are your thoughts on today's race? Let me know below. Let me know your score in the comments below, and congratulate Tyler Reddick on picking up the victory. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, there's going to be a NASCAR news video on the channel, and of course, we'll have the Truck Series race picks, I should say, for Bristol. Then on Tuesday, we are going to have a video talking about Noah Gragson, where I think he could end up next year, and also we're going to have the Xfinity Series race picks for Bristol, and then on Wednesday, will be a NASCAR news video on the channel, and on Thursday, we'll have race picks for the Cup race, along with the truck race review from Bristol. Got a lot of great content dropping, and I cannot wait for you guys to check it out. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.